My boyfriend made me wait nearly 2 hours at a pricey restaurant for our anniversary. When he finally showed up, with 4 of his friends by the way, he laughed and said, loud enough for the entire section to hear, "See? Told you she'd still be here. Like some loyal little puppy." They all cracked up like it was the funniest thing in the world. We'd been together for 3 years. I'd just finished paying off his car loan. I smiled, quietly ordered another drink, and didn't say a word. This morning, my phone showed 78 missed calls. His stuff? Now bagged up and sitting at the city dump. Let's rewind. We met 3 years ago, right after my apartment flooded because the upstairs neighbor left their bathtub running all weekend. Yep, I was temporarily staying at my brother's, and Randy was the plumber sent to fix the damage. He kept finding new problems every time he came by. At the time, I thought he just liked seeing me. Now I'm honestly wondering if he dragged out those repairs on purpose. Back then, I found it charming how easy he was to talk to. I'm usually really awkward with new people, but with Randy, things felt natural. Fast forward to our first year, things were good. We moved in together after 8 months, probably too fast, but it made financial sense at the time. His lease was ending and we figured we could split expenses. Randy worked as a plumber, but always had drama with employers. He was either getting fired for being late or quitting because his boss didn't recognize his value. That should have been a red flag, but I brushed it off. He'd send me these long, furious voice messages, complaining about how his boss was clueless, insulting how he spoke or dressed, calling him names. I started saving those messages. Not really sure why. Maybe part of me knew they'd matter someday. Same thing happened with his parents. If they didn't send him money, he'd lash out in voice memos, calling his dad weak and saying his mom couldn't think for herself. One time, when they said no to helping with his car payment, he ranted for 5 straight minutes about how embarrassed he was to be their son. I remember feeling so uncomfortable, but I still saved those messages. By year 2, I was paying for nearly everything. My job's nothing fancy, but it's steady. I kept telling myself this was just temporary, that partnerships are about carrying each other when one person's down. Randy kept saying his big break was just around the corner. 6 months ago, his car, a 2015 Mustang that was way out of his budget, broke down. He was devastated. Claimed it was his dream car and that without it, he couldn't hold a steady job. I offered to help, thinking it would stabilize everything. I ended up taking over the whole loan, $386 in a month, which for me was a huge stretch. But I thought I was helping us. So last night was our 3-year anniversary. I just made the final payment on his car. I booked a reservation at a fancy spot we'd always dreamed of trying. I got a new dress, did my hair, the whole thing. He texted saying he'd be late and told me to get seated. By 7:30, no word. I texted. Nothing. Called. Straight to voicemail. The waitress kept checking on me with this sad look in her eyes, probably wondering if I'd been stood up. I kept making excuses. He's just stuck in traffic. I checked my phone every few minutes, trying not to cry into the breadbasket. At 8:45, almost 2 hours later, Randy walks in with 4 of his buddies. All of them laughing, clearly buzzed. No mention that it was supposed to be just us. They walk right up to my table and Randy says, "Told you she'd still be here?" 2 hours, like a loyal little puppy. They laughed again. Loud, like it was a joke they'd all agreed on before walking in. And me? I didn't say a word. I just smiled, took a sip of my drink, and knew exactly what I'd be doing in the morning. One of Randy's friends leaned in laughing and said, "Wow, you weren't kidding, she's seriously trained." More laughter followed. Then Randy plopped down beside me, grabbed my cheeks like I was some kind of pet, and smirked. "This is why she's the best." Most women would have walked out, but not my girl. She waits, she pays my bills, she knows her place. He looked me right in the eye and added, "Wait, you actually thought this was going to be a romantic night? That's cute. We've got a poker game after this. I just had to make sure you were good for next month's payment first." When I didn't respond, he grabbed my chin and tilted my face toward him, muttering, "Hello? Earth to you. Say something, or are you just gonna sit there like a sad little puppy?" His friends burst into another round of laughter. I sat there stunned. We'd been together for 3 years. I'd just finished paying off his car, nearly 12 grand out of my pocket, and this is what he really thought of me? That I was some gullible placeholder he could use as a punchline? The server came over, visibly uncomfortable, and asked if we were ready to order. Somehow, I managed to smile and said, "Actually, I'll just take another glass of wine." Randy and his friends ordered a parade of pricey appetizers and drinks, cracking more jokes about how patient I was, how lucky Randy was to have someone so Understanding! Then Randy pointed at me and said to the server, "You don't need to bring her food though. She's watching her figure. Any more weight and we'll need a bigger car." Laughter again. Mine was silent. Once my wine arrived, I took a long sip, set the glass down carefully, and said I needed the restroom. Randy barely looked up. He was too busy entertaining his friends with another over-the-top story about how dumb his boss was. In the bathroom, I stared at myself in the mirror for 5 solid minutes. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there and realized I was done. 3 years of making excuses. 3 years of covering bills, ignoring red flags, and hoping things would change. But that dinner showed me everything I needed to know. I wasn't going to make a scene. That would be too easy. No, Randy needed something smarter. I opened Telegram and scrolled through every voice message I'd saved. You know, the ones where he ranted about how clueless his boss was, or insulted his parents in ways I never understood but always felt wrong. Dozens of them, some even downloaded just in case. I texted my friend Emma and asked if she could swing by in 10 minutes. Then I walked back out to the table, smiled like nothing was wrong, and said I needed to step outside to make a quick work call. On the way out, I stopped by the server, paid for my wine, just my wine, and told her that Randy would be handling the rest of the bill. I walked outside, got into Emma's car, and blocked Randy's number before he even noticed I was gone. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. See, over the years, I'd helped Randy with a lot of tech issues. I had access to more than I probably should have. His cloud accounts, email, even the app for his bank since I'd been the one making his car payments. And let's just say, I knew exactly how to make certain files reach the right people. That was last night. This morning, I woke up to 78 missed calls. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize. Probably his friends. Then came the messages. A string of desperate texts from Randy's work number. "Please talk to me. It was just a joke." What did you do? Well, what did I do? Let's just say his boss and his parents received some very enlightening voice clips this morning. And that Mustang he adored? Turns out when you cancel the final payment and provide documented evidence of fraud, the lender doesn't take long to respond. There's more coming. I still have to finish packing up his belongings for their new destination, the local dump. For those wondering if this is real, yes, unfortunately. And for those worried about legal consequences, don't be. Everything I did was fully within my rights. I'll break that down in the next update. First update. So many of you asked what happened after Emma picked me up from the restaurant. Here's the short version. I didn't cry on the ride home. I was too shocked. I'm the kind of person who tears up at commercials, but that night, I just stared out the window, numb. Emma kept asking if I was okay. I didn't know how to answer, but when we got to her place, it hit me all at once. I broke down. Full, ugly crying, mascara streaks and all. Emma brought out ice cream and cookie dough, my favorites, and just let me talk. For 2 hours, I vented everything. She didn't check her phone once. That's real friendship. Then, around midnight, the texts started rolling in. From Randy. First, angry. "Where the heck did you go? You really left me with the whole bill?" Then the switch. Fake sweetness, concern. "Come on, it was a joke. Don't be like this. Just call me, please." Yeah, no, there's more to come. I'll tell you what happened with the car, his job, and a few surprises I still have in store. Stay tuned. By 1 a.m., Randy had shifted from sarcasm to concern. "Just let me know you're okay," he wrote. Then came the paragraphs, wall after wall of text, trying to explain how it was just a joke, and I was blowing it out of proportion. Classic manipulation. I didn't respond to a single message. Instead, I opened my notes app and did what I do best. I made a list. I'm a chronic list maker, always have been. But this one gave me a strange sense of peace. Here's what I had access to. His email, from when I helped him apply to jobs. His Instagram, he never remembered his password. His iCloud, still logged in on my laptop after his old phone broke. His Spotify, shared family plan, paid by me. His banking app, used to make all those car payments. Our Netflix account, again, mine. As I looked at that list, I couldn't help but think how wild it was that he'd handed over his entire digital life so freely. But for the first time in 3 years, I felt in control. And no, to the people asking, this isn't illegal. He voluntarily gave me access to every account. I wasn't guessing passwords or breaking into anything. I just logged into what I already managed for him. After barely 3 hours of sleep, I started with the most pressing thing. The car. I opened the banking app and saw that last week's payment hadn't fully cleared yet. I called the bank, explained I needed to cancel a payment I had been pressured into making. I told them I had text messages showing he admitted the car was entirely his, and even voice messages where he joked to friends about me paying for it. The rep asked for documentation. I sent everything: screenshots, audio, dates. She put me on hold, came back 10 minutes later, and said they would reverse the payment pending investigation. The look on my face? Probably the first real smile in 24 hours. While all that was happening, Randy called over and over again. Voicemails ranged from furious to apologetic and then back again. In one message, he actually said I was ruining our anniversary over a dumb joke. Oh, you mean the anniversary where you arrived 2 hours late, brought 4 friends, and publicly mocked me? That one? By noon, I started looking into his other accounts. Not to be spiteful, but just to know what I was really dealing with. And oh, I found everything. There were texts between Randy and his friends, planning the dinner prank days in advance. One from Jake said, "Can't wait to see her face when she realizes it's not actually a romantic dinner lol." Randy's reply, "She'll just sit there and take it like she always does." But it got worse. I found flirty emails with a woman from work named Amber. They weren't explicit, but definitely not innocent either. Pictures, winky face subject lines, and messages about drinks after hours. Some were from just last week. At this point, my hands were shaking. I went to pour coffee and spilled it everywhere. Emma, who was at work, kept checking in. I just sent her "I'm okay" and kept digging. Then I checked his Google Drive, still linked to his email. He had a folder titled Voice Notes. Most were boring work stuff. But one stood out. A conversation recorded 3 months ago with Jake, laughing about how I was basically his personal sponsor. How I paid for everything and how he was just keeping me around until someone better came along. 3 years, thousands of dollars, countless hours of patience and support. That's what I got in return. So, I made another list. Send the voice clips of Randy insulting his boss. To his boss. Send the ones where he trashed his parents. To his parents. Cancel every shared subscription I was paying for. Pack up all his things. Change every password he had access to and lock him out. The voice messages were already saved in my Telegram favorites. Some even downloaded directly to my phone. I created a temporary account using a burner number and sent the audio of Randy mocking his boss to his boss's work email. I had the contact from a resume Randy had recently sent. Then I did the same with his parents. No added commentary, just the raw audio of him calling them pathetic and mocking their life choices. Each message was sent with a short line. "Thought you should hear this." Along with the voice clips, I added one line. "Thought you should hear how Randy talks about you when you're not around." Then I moved on to our shared subscriptions. Netflix, Spotify, all of it. I either changed the passwords or canceled them outright. One by one, I cut those digital ties, and every click felt like I was reclaiming a piece of my peace. The harder part? Packing. Randy had lived with me for over 2 years. He had a lot of stuff. I started with his clothes. No folding, just straight into trash bags. It felt weirdly empowering. I'd folded his laundry for years, like some unpaid assistant. 7 bags later, clothes, shoes, old jackets, I moved on to the bathroom. That's when the doorbell rang. My heart jumped. I tiptoed to the peephole, and there he was, Randy, standing outside with a sad face and a bouquet of flowers like it was a movie scene. Except this wasn't a romantic comedy. I didn't answer. I backed away and sat on the hallway floor, trying not to breathe too loudly. He rang again, then knocked, then started calling. Over and over. I'd silenced my phone, so it was just vibration after vibration. Eventually, his voice came through the door. "Stop being childish. We need to talk like adults." After about 20 minutes, I think one of my neighbors must have threatened to call security, because he finally left, but not before sliding a note under my door. "We need to talk. I'm sorry about last night. It was just supposed to be a joke. Please call me." A joke? Being mocked in public by someone who's supposed to love you is not a joke. I stood up and kept packing, this time faster, more focused. By 6 p.m., everything he owned was in garbage bags by the door. 15 bags, 3 years, reduced to 15 bags of regret. Then came the ping, a new email. It was from the bank. They had approved the payment reversal. My account would be refunded in 3 to 5 business days. I literally danced in my living room. Seconds later, another ping, a frantic text from Randy. "Why is there a tow truck at my place? What did you do to my car?" I didn't answer. I just smiled. Around 8 p.m., my phone blew up again. Apparently, Randy's boss had received the voice messages I'd sent. Based on the flood of texts, the conversation did not go well. His boss, who had already had suspicions, wasn't amused by hearing himself called clueless and the kind of guy who couldn't find his own shoes. Randy was put on probation while HR reviewed things further. His parents also got their messages. According to Randy's texts, his mom was in tears, devastated by what she heard. His dad didn't say a word, just walked out of the room. By 10 p.m., Randy was sending emotional essays via text, accusing me of ruining his life, calling it an overreaction. One moment begging for forgiveness, the next threatening legal action. I saved every message. I didn't reply to any. I spent the night at Emma's again, just to be safe. I wasn't sure how far Randy might go, but in the morning, I felt clear. Not scared, not sad, just free. Like I'd finally done what I should have done years ago, stood up for myself. That morning, I was staring at the 15 garbage bags in my living room, wondering what to do. I didn't want to see Randy again, and I definitely didn't want to hand them over. That's when Emma had an idea. What if we just took them to the dump? At first, I hesitated. It felt drastic. But then I remembered the messages, the planned humiliation, the cheating, the years of emotional labor, and suddenly, it didn't feel so drastic after all. So we borrowed her brother's truck and loaded it up. I went through each bag one last time, just in case something important was buried inside. I'm not heartless. I made sure there were no personal documents or irreplaceable items. Just his wardrobe, shoes, clutter, and a collection of video games he loved more than me. We drove to the dump, and we dumped it. Watching the garbage truck crush his designer hoodies and limited edition collectibles felt healing. I didn't cry. I didn't even speak. Just watched it all go, like closing a chapter I'd clung to for way too long. On the way home, Randy called again. A number I didn't recognize. Probably a borrowed phone since I'd blocked his. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail. My car's gone. I need my stuff. At least let me grab clothes for work tomorrow. Too late, Randy. I'm home now. My apartment feels emptier, quieter, but peaceful, like I can finally breathe. I changed all the locks today. My landlord was incredibly understanding once I explained what happened. I know some people might think this was too much, but after 3 years of giving, sacrificing, and being treated like I didn't matter, it finally felt like justice. More updates soon. The fallout's still happening. Jake, Randy's best friend, is now spamming my phone with angry messages, and apparently, Amber from his office is suddenly confused why Randy's ignoring her. Let the dominoes fall. I wasn't legally tied to the car loan. I'd made all those payments as gifts. Plus, I kept anything truly important, like documents. I'm not heartless, just done. Second update. Okay, you all are amazing. The support on my last post was unreal. And since so many of you asked for another update, here's the latest on everything that's happened since Randy's things found their new home at the local dump. The morning after our little dump run, I was woken up by this strange scratching noise near my front door. Not quite knocking, just persistent. I checked the doorbell cam. Thankfully, I had one installed after a package went missing last year. And there he was, Randy, sitting on the floor outside my apartment looking completely disheveled. His hair was a mess. He was still in the same clothes from 2 days ago, and he was sliding handwritten notes under my door, one by one. I turned up the volume and realized he was mumbling to himself while writing. I stayed quiet and peeked down. 7 little paper notes had been slipped through the gap. Each note had a different message. Please talk to me. I need my stuff for work. My boss is going to fire me. My parents won't answer my calls. What did you tell everyone? I'm sleeping in Jake's car. Please answer. For about 3 seconds, I actually felt bad for him. And then I remembered sitting alone at that restaurant while he and his buddies laughed at my expense. Nope, not today, Randy. I gathered the notes, evidence just in case, and went to make coffee. Naturally, my machine broke mid-brew. Of course it would. So I made do with emergency instant coffee and sat down with a cup of bitter powder and pride. My phone had 83 missed calls, most from unknown numbers, 17 voicemails. I was about to delete them all, but one caught my eye. It was from Randy's mom. I listened. She sounded upset, but not hostile. She thanked me for showing her the truth about how her son had been treating me. Said she was horrified by the voice messages and didn't know he was capable of that. She asked if we could talk sometime. Just talk. I saved the voicemail, deleted the rest. And no, for those asking, I haven't called her back. I'm still processing and I'm not ready for family drama yet. Maybe one day. Later that morning, I was getting ready to go to Emma's. The apartment felt eerily quiet and I was jumpy at every sound. Then the doorbell rang again. It wasn't Randy this time. It was Jake. I didn't answer, but he started speaking loud enough for me to hear. Randy's falling apart. You've made your point. This revenge thing has gone too far. Then he said something that made me stop in my tracks. I wasn't even at the dinner. I didn't know he'd do that. Excuse me? Jake was absolutely at that dinner. I saw him laughing along. Now he was trying to rewrite history? I reviewed the doorbell footage later and realized Jake was recording himself the entire time. Probably trying to get me to say something he could twist or share. Nice try, Jake. Once he left, I packed a bag and went to Emma's. On the walk there, I checked my bank app. Because anxiety. And guess what? The refund had already hit my account. That was fast. I literally did a happy dance on the sidewalk. Not my proudest moment, but definitely my most satisfying one. Back at Emma's, we ordered takeout and sat down to go over everything. I'm a list person, so naturally, we built a full timeline. Thursday night, the anniversary humiliation. Friday morning, found Randy's emails planning the whole thing. Friday afternoon, sent voice clips to his boss and parents. Sunday morning, took his stuff to the dump. Seeing it all laid out made it look so calculated, so final. For a second, I wondered if I'd gone too far. Emma must have seen my face because she handed me my phone and told me to reread those emails. The ones where Randy was gleefully planning to embarrass me. Yeah, I hadn't gone too far, not even close. Later that day, curiosity got the better of me. I made a new Instagram account. Don't worry, random name, random profile photo, and searched for Randy's profile. Still public, he's building a personal brand, remember? His latest post? A vague, rambling apology. Something like, I made some mistakes, I hurt someone I care about, I'm reflecting, please respect my privacy. Classic non-apology. No specifics, no responsibility, just enough guilt bait to get sympathy. The comments were a mess. Friends asking what happened. A girl, probably Amber, commented, "Call me." And one of his cousins wrote, "Grandma's wondering why you won't return her calls." While I was scrolling, stalking, I got a text from Damon, one of Randy's mutuals. He's more Randy's friend than mine, so I was surprised. His message just said, "Can we talk? Not taking sides, just confused." I ignored it. At first. Then came another text. "Randy's telling people you hacked his accounts and stole from him. That doesn't sound like you." Hacked? Stole? Oh no. We weren't going to let that narrative take root. I called Damon immediately. He answered on the first ring and honestly sounded relieved. What he told me next? Wild. According to him, Randy had spun an entirely different story to their entire friend group. He said I had a meltdown over a tiny joke and went full hacker on his accounts out of revenge. Tiny joke? Full hacker? Sure, Randy. That's not even close to what happened. But don't worry, I had receipts. And if needed, I wasn't afraid to use them. More soon. Because this story? It's far from over. Apparently, Randy had been telling people I hacked into his personal accounts, stole money from him, and destroyed his stuff out of emotional instability. Yes, his actual words. He was trying to spin the whole situation like he was the victim of some crazy ex-girlfriend. I took a deep breath and asked Damon one question. Do you want to know what really happened? When he said yes, I didn't hold back. I told him everything. The 2 hours I sat alone at the restaurant, the public humiliation, the emails I found where Randy had planned it all, the voice messages where he insulted his boss and parents, and the fact that I had been making his car payments while he joked to friends about me being his personal ATM. I even played Damon one of those clips. There was a long silence before he finally said, "Wow, he's been lying to all of us." Turns out Randy had been trashing me behind my back for months, telling mutual friends that I was clingy, controlling, and emotionally unstable. None of it was true, but they had believed him because, well, he was their friend. Damon apologized for not reaching out sooner and asked if he could tell the others what I'd shared. I told him he could. The next morning, I finally felt ready to return to my apartment. Emma came with me, because, let's be honest, I didn't trust that Randy wouldn't be lurking in the hallway. He wasn't there, thankfully, but I found more notes shoved under my door. This time, the tone had changed. "You're ruining my life. You'll regret this." And my personal favorite, I know what you did with my stuff. Yeah. I took it to the dump. That wasn't a secret. I spent the rest of the day deep cleaning my apartment. I moved furniture around, threw out our old bed sheets, and ordered a fresh set online. Even hung up some art prints I'd kept hidden for years because Randy thought they were too girly. The space finally felt like mine again. Then, Wednesday morning, I got an email from Randy's workplace. Not from his boss, but from HR. They were conducting an internal investigation and asked if I'd be willing to share any relevant information regarding Randy's behavior. I replied that I hadn't recorded anything secretly, nor accessed anything without permission. But I had received voice messages directly from Randy that referenced his workplace and colleagues. They asked for any that might be relevant. I sent 3. One where Randy called his boss incompetent. One where he bragged about doing the boss's job himself. And one where he admitted to taking extended breaks without telling anyone. I don't know what happened after that, but later that evening, Randy posted something cryptic on Instagram about how hard unemployment is in today's world. Draw your own conclusions. Then Thursday got weird. I ran into Randy's mom, literally, at the grocery store. I tried to keep it short, polite, and move on, but she stopped me. She wasn't angry. She looked sad. She thanked me for sending those voice messages. Said they had no idea he was speaking about them like that. Apparently, they'd been helping him financially for years, never knowing he was mocking them behind their backs. Turns out, the down payment on his car, they co-signed for it. So while I was making monthly payments, Randy was also taking money from his parents. She apologized, said she was sorry for raising someone who would treat anyone the way he treated me. She looked genuinely heartbroken. I didn't have the heart to mention the emails or Amber from work. Some things are better left unsaid. When I got home, there was a package outside my door. No return address. I hesitated, thinking maybe Randy sent something. But nope. It was a Starbucks gift card and a note from my neighbor across the hall thanking me for finally getting rid of that loud guy. Apparently, Randy would blast music when I wasn't home and had been rude to other neighbors too. Who knew? Exactly 1 week after the restaurant incident, I made everything official. I changed all my social media to private, blocked Randy's new accounts. He'd already created 3 since I blocked the first. And finally, I changed my phone number. I'd been putting it off because of the hassle, but the peace of mind? 100% worth it. Then this morning, drumroll please, I received a letter from the car loan company. It confirmed the loan had been terminated and the car repossessed. They even included photos of it being towed from outside Jake's apartment, where Randy had apparently been staying. The letter also stated that, based on the evidence of misleading claims, no further action would be taken against me. The loan? Randy's problem now. Emma called and asked if I felt bad about any of it. And honestly, I don't. Not even a little. Randy spent 3 years taking everything. My time, my money, my confidence. All I did was reveal the truth using his own words. And now? I'm starting fresh. The money I used to pour into his car payments? I'm putting it into savings. For me. For the life I actually deserve. And that feels better than any apology ever could. Instead of dealing with more drama, I started thinking about adopting a cat. Randy never let me. Claimed he was allergic. But guess what I found once? Antihistamines in his gym bag. The same kind he took whenever visiting his cat-owning parents. As for Randy? According to Damon, he's still crashing on Jake's couch. No car, no job, no furniture, and his social circle's dwindling fast. All because he couldn't resist humiliating the one person who had stood by him for years. Play reckless games, win predictable consequences. Edit. Thank you all so much for the support. Seriously. A few quick answers to common questions. No, I have no plans to ever speak to Randy again. Not even for closure. Yes, I confirmed with a legal-savvy friend. Everything I did was fully within my rights. No, I didn't keep any of his things. Just a few important documents I'll be mailing to his parents. Yes, I'm considering changing the locks again. Paranoia? Maybe. Worth it? Definitely. I'll update if anything big happens. But for now, I'm hoping this chapter is closed. Edit 2. For those curious about how I sent the voice clips. It was simple. I just forwarded the Telegram messages he had sent me to the people he was talking about. No hacking, no shady tricks. Telegram literally has a forward button. That's all. Last update. Hey Reddit, long time no post. It's been about 6 months and some of you messaged asking how everything turned out. So here's your closure post. Let's wrap up the Randy saga. First, I moved a month after everything happened. My lease was up and the apartment just felt off. I found a smaller but cozier place across town. Costs a bit more, but the peace and quiet, worth every penny. Also, I got a cat. Her name is Comet. She's a moody little tortoiseshell who, for whatever reason, absolutely loathes men. My brother came to help me set up a bookshelf, and she hissed at him the entire time. But at night, she sleeps on my pillow like a fuzzy little engine. Soulmate behavior. Financially, I've been putting away the $386 I used to send toward Randy's Mustang, and it's added up to over $2,300. I'm using some of it to take a solo trip to Portland next month. Nervous? Yes. Excited? Absolutely. I've never traveled alone before, but it feels like the next step in reclaiming my life. Now for the Randy updates. Because let's be honest, I know why you're still listening. About a month after I posted last, Randy officially lost his job. Not because of the voice messages I sent, though those certainly didn't help, but because of himself. He kept showing up late, and apparently had a meltdown during a meeting. I only know this because, oddly enough, his mom still texts me sometimes. We're not friends, but there's mutual respect now. Randy moved back in with his parents after losing his job, but that didn't last. He kept breaking their rules, coming home at all hours, refusing to help around the house, and being disrespectful. They gave him a choice: get it together or move out. He chose couch surfing. His car was sold at auction by the lender. And get this, it sold for less than what was owed. So now he's still making payments on a car he doesn't even own. He tried to blame me for that too, but his own lawyer told him he had no case. I had proof the payments were voluntary and evidence of his misrepresentation. Oh, and that girl from work, Amber? She's his girlfriend now, officially. But from what I've heard, it's already a train wreck. She found out he was talking to other women on Tinder and broke up with him. Then took him back. Multiple times. She's where I was 3 years ago. I genuinely hope she figures it out faster. Now for the weirdest part, about 3 months ago, Randy's brother messaged me on Instagram. We'd met twice, maybe. He apologized for Randy's behavior, and then asked me out. I wish I were joking. I said no, politely, and blocked him. The audacity. After doing the math, I realized I spent over $30,000 on Randy over 3 years. Between car payments, rent while he was between jobs, dates, and random loans that were never repaid, it added up. That's a down payment on a house, a degree, a trip around the world, and I spent it on someone who called me a pathetic puppy in front of his friends. Edit. For those saying I went too far by sending those voice messages or getting him fired, let's clarify something. I didn't get him fired. He did that to himself. His words, his actions. If you still think he's the victim here, after he planned and executed a public humiliation of someone who supported him for years, maybe take a moment and ask yourself why. Would I ever talk to him again? Not even for closure. My closure happened the moment I stood up, walked out of that restaurant, and didn't look back. Everything that's happened since? Just confirmation I made the right call. So that's where it ends. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And if they call you a pathetic puppy, don't bark. Don't bite. Just take their car, pack their stuff, and drop it where it belongs, in the trash.